Mein Kampf, My Struggle, by Adolf Hitler. Chapter 1. My Home. It stands me in good stead today that fate decided that Braunau on the Inn should be my birthplace. That little town lies in the frontier between the two German states, the reunion of which we younger ones regard as a work worthy of accomplishment by all the means in our power. German Austria will have to return to the great German motherland, but not for economic reasons. No, no. Even if reunion, looked at from that point of view, were a matter of indifference, nay, even if it were actually injurious, it would still have to come. Common blood should belong to a common Reich. The German people have no right to dabble in a colonial policy as long as they are unable to gather their own sons into a common state. Not till the confines of the Reich include every single German, and are certain of being able to nourish him, can there be a moral right for Germany to acquire territory abroad whilst her people are in need. Thus, it comes about that the little frontier town is to me the symbol of a great enterprise. Are we not the same as all other Germans? Do we not all belong together? This problem began to seethe in my childish brain. In answer to my shy questions, I was obliged, with secret envy, to accept the fact that all Germans were not so fortunate as to be members of Bismarck's empire. I did not want to become an official. Neither talking to nor serious argument made any difference to my reluctance. I did not want to be an official, and refused to be one. Any attempt, by quoting my father's examples, to arouse love or keenness for that calling only had the contrary effect. I hated and was bored by the idea of having to sit tied to an office, of not being master of my own time, of spending the whole of my life filling up forms. Now, when I review the effect on myself of all those years, I see two facts which stand out most conspicuously. 1. I became a nationalist, and 2. I learned to grasp and understand history in its true sense. The old Austria was a state of many nationalities. In comparatively early youth, I had an opportunity of taking part in a struggle of nationality in the old Austria. We had a school society and expressed our sentiments with cornflowers and the black-red-gold colours. And there was cheering, and we sang Deutschland über alles in preference to the Austrian Kaiserlied, in spite of warning and punishments. Thus the youth were being educated politically at an age when a member of a so-called national state usually knows little about his nationality except its language. Even then, I obviously could not be counted amongst the lukewarm. I soon became a fanatical German nationalist, not, however, the same thing as conceived by that party today. This development progressed very rapidly on me, so that by the time I was 15 I had understood the difference between dynastic patriotism and popular nationalism. I knew far more about the latter. Did not we boys already know that this Austrian state had and could have no love for us Germans? Our historical knowledge of the methods of the House of Habsburg was corroborated by what we saw every day. In the north and the south, the poison of the foreign races ate into the body of our nationality, and even Vienna was visibly becoming less and less a German city. The royal house were becoming Czech in every possible way, and it was the hand of the goddess of eternal justice and inexorable retribution that caused the most deadly enemy of Germanism in Austria, the Archduke Francis Ferdinand, to fall by the very bullets which he had himself helped to mould. And he was the chief patron of the movement, working from above to make Austria a Slav state. The germ of the future world war, and indeed of the general collapse, lay in the disastrous connection of the young German Empire with the Austrian shadow state. In the course of this book, I shall have to deal exhaustively with this problem. It is enough to state here that from my earliest youth I was convinced that Austria's destruction was a necessary condition for the security of the German race, and moreover, that the feeling nationality is in no way identical with dynastic patriotism. Also, that the House of Habsburg was set upon doing harm to the German race. Even then, I perceived the deductions from this realization: intense love for my German Austrian home and deep hatred against the Austrian state. The choice of a profession had to be decided on quicker than I had expected. Poverty and stern reality forced me to make a rapid decision. My family's small means were nearly exhausted by my mother's severe illness. The pension, which came to me as an orphan, was not enough to live on, so that I was forced to earn my living somehow myself. With a valise full of clothes and linen, I went to Vienna full of determination. I hoped to ward off fate, as my father had succeeded in doing 50 years before. I wanted to become something, but in any case not an official.